Доброго дня, шановний ректоре, поважні гості, викладачі та учасники 6-го міжнародного медико-фармацевтичного конгресу студентів та молодих учених Bimco 2019.
Welcome, good afternoon, respected rector, teachers and participants of the 6th International Medical Pharmaceutical Congress of Students and Young Scientists.
Ми усі родом з маленької місцини, що зветься Батьківщиною. Ми – українці. Ми безкрилі, коли наша земля стогне і плаче над своїм безталанням. Ми воїни, коли хтось зрадливо, не питаючи нашого дозволу, топче любисток біля рідної хати. Ми діти своєї землі, і тільки ціною власної крові ми платимо за своє сирітство.
We are all from small place called Bukovina. We are Ukrainians. We become uninspired when our land is suffering. We are warriors when our motherland is in danger because of foreign aggressors. We are children of our land.
Прошу вшанувати хвилиною мовчання всіх тих, хто своє життя поклав заради мирного життя в Україні. In honor and commemoration of those who gave their lives for peaceful life in Ukraine, I respectfully request everyone in this building to rise for a minute of silence. Дякую.
Ми віримо, що все у нас вийде. І заростуть спалені поля, і посміхнуться перелякані діти, і прилетить лелека до відбудованого будинку. І повернуться додому всі, хто так мужньо обороняв свою землю.
We believe that everything will be better, and soon everyone who so bravely defended their land will come back home.
Сьогодні Буковинський державний медичний університет радо відчинив двері молодим серцям, які впевнено йдуть до поставленої мети.
Today, Bukovina State Medical University has opened the door for young hearts who go confidently to their goal.
Щиросердно вітаємо представників медичних та фармацевтичних навчальних закладів і лікувальних установ України, Бангладеш, Білорусі, Болгарії, Боснії та Герцеговини, Великобританії, Греції, Грузії, Індії, Індонезії, Ірану, Іспанії, Італії, Мексики, Молдови, Пакистану, Польщі, Португалії, Румунії, Турції, Угорщини, Узбекистану, Філіппін.
We sincerely congratulate members of the medical and pharmaceutical educational institutions and hospitals of Ukraine, Israel, India, Poland, Jordan, Iran, Nepal, Nigeria, Pakistan, Ghana, Brazil, Belarus, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, Moldova, Georgia, Uzbekistan and Bosnia.
Маємо надію, що впродовж 5 днів ви закохаєтеся у наше європейське місто Чернівці та Буковинську землю.
We hope that within 5 days you will fall in love with our European city of Chernivtsi and Bukovina in general. 6-й міжнародний медико-фармацевтичний конгрес студентів і молодих учених оголошується відкритим.
The 6th International Medical Pharmaceutical Congress of Students and Young Scientists is officially open.
Ще не вмерла України ні слава, ні воля. Ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануємо ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу. Що ми, браття козацького роду, душу й тіло
Нам надзвичайно приємно представити вам почесних гостей конгресу.
Михайло Вікторович Павлюк, виконуючий обов'язки голови Чернівецької обласної державної адміністрації.
Оксана Анатоліївна Андрієць, директор департаменту охорони здоров'я Чернівецької обласної державної адміністрації, доктора медичних наук.
Наш медичний навчальний заклад відомий не тільки в Україні, але й за її межами. Буковинський державний медичний університет має чим пишатися і кого ставити у приклад прийдешнім поколінням. Планує своє майбутнє і кличе за собою усіх бажаючих допомагати людям. З великою приємністю запрошуємо до слів привітання вельмишановного ректора Буковинського державного медичного університету Бойчука Тараса Миколайовича.
With great pleasure and honor, please welcome our respected rector Taras Бойчук.
Доброго дня, вельмишановні учасники конгресу, вельмишановні пані та панове, високоповажні гості.
Good afternoon, the participants of the Congress, ladies and gentlemen, and our respected guests.
Від імені професорсько-викладацького складу і від студентства Буковинського державного медичного університету я щиросердечно вітаю всіх на Буковині в нашому навчальному закладі.
On behalf of the university teaching staff and all the students, I cordially greet everyone on our hospitable land, Bukovina.
Це найбільший в Україні студентський і молодіжний науковий форум.
It is the biggest forum, scientific forum for students and young scientists in Ukraine.
В ньому приймає участь більше 1500 учасників.
More than 1,500 participants take part in it.
Сьогодні в цій залі присутні майже 400 гостей з різноманітних куточків світу із вищих навчальних медичних закладів України.
This hall today includes more than 400 participants from different corners of Ukraine and from different countries of the world.
І нам дуже приємно, що сьогодні ми бачимо багато знайомих облич, тобто учасників, які вже бували на цьому конгресі, і ви знову приїжджаєте до нас.
We're happy to see today familiar faces in this hall, and so we greatly enjoy that you have become our friends and you have come again.
Нам приємно, що вам подобається наш край Буковина, подобається наш навчальний заклад, і ви вже сформували такі потужні, дружні студентські наукові спільноти, які втілюють традиції нашого конгресу у ваших рідних навчальних закладах.
We like that you enjoy our country, our land, our university, and we know that you have already formed some scientific groups, and you bring and you carry the best scientific traditions to your educational institutions.
Я висловлюю подяку студентському науковому товариству нашого університету і його науковому керівнику, доценту Олені Анатоліївні Тюленєвій, за таку красиву і потужну організацію нашого конгресу.
I would like to say the words of thanks to the leader of the Student Scientific Council of Bukovinian State Medical University, Associate Professor Tyuleneva, Olena Anatolievna, for great organization and for atmosphere that has been created for all the participants and guests.
А всім вам я бажаю цікавих доповідей, цікавих дискусій. І я хочу сказати, що сьогодні один із девізів нашого навчального закладу – це пошук талантів. Ми шукаємо нові обличчя, ми шукаємо нові таланти. І самих талановитих випускників навчальних закладів, які сьогодні тут присутні, я запрошую до нас в подальшому займатися науковою роботою в університеті.
I wish you fruitful work, exchange of experience, and the motto of our Congress this year is, we are looking for talents. The most talented and gifted are invited to continue their scientific career at Bukovinian State Medical University. Good luck.
Дякую.
Thank
Дякуємо
you.
Тарасу Миколайовичу за слова вітань. З приємністю запрошуємо до слів привітання Михайла Вікторовича Павлюка, виконуючого обов'язки голови Чернівецької обласної державної адміністрації. Please welcome the acting chairman of Chernihiv Regional Authority, Михайло Павлюк.
Шановний Тарасе Миколайовичу, шановні наші лікарі-вчителі, шановні учасники конгресу Bimco 2019. Від імені виконавчої влади мені надзвичайно приємно вас привітати тут, на гостинній буковинській землі. Знаю, що є представники з більше 30 країн, які беруть участь і працюють в ці дні на відповідному конгресі. Надзвичайно відрадно, що багато з вас приїхали повторно, але є й такі, які приїхали вперше. Я хочу вам сказати «Welcome to Ukraine», «Welcome to Чернівці region». Вітаю вас в Україні, вітаю вас на території Чернівецької області. Ви приїхали в особливу країну в надзвичайно відповідальний час. Країну, яка ще 5 років назад могла бути розчленована, могла втратити свій суверенітет і не бути на політичній карті світу. Але ми вистояли і, підтримуючи ті реформи і ті засадничі європейські цінності, які в нас є, ми торуємо свій шлях і в науці, зокрема, торуємо свій шлях і далі. Мені важливо сказати, що Україна несе втрати. І сьогодні, незважаючи на такі важливі форуми і наукові зустрічі з нашими партнерами зі всього світу, Буковина і Чернівці прощаються з 30-річним Дмитром Костенюком, який 29 березня загинув на Маріупольському напрямку, в якого залишилося 2 малолітніх дітей. Вічна пам'ять йому і вічна шана таким людям, які захищають наш європейський вибір, захищають нашу цілісність і незалежність. Я, дивлячись в зал, бачу багато молодих людей, а в нас класна, неймовірна, працьовита і дуже перспективна молодь. Я точно знаю, що тут сидять однодумці, які хочуть, щоб наша країна розвивалася. Їм не треба розповідати про європейське майбутнє. Вони вже користають від європейського сьогодення нашої країни. Адже вони запрошують вас, шановні партнери і однодумці з інших держав світу, до діалогу, до спільної роботи, до спільних напрацювань для втілення найважливіших нових наукових розробок у медичній галузі. І це дуже важливо. Це показує нашу спільну участь у розвитку цивілізації, розвитку світу. І мені надзвичайно приємно, що участь у цьому процесі беруть молодь під пильним керівництвом професорсько-викладацького складу нашого Буковинського державного медичного університету. Хочу йому подякувати за таку ініціативу, за такий зразковий і відповідальний момент згуртування молоді. І, звичайно, я хочу побажати всім тут присутнім, кожному представнику своєї країни, побачивши Україну, побачивши Чернівці, побачивши нашу молодь, завжди підтримувати спільні напрацювання, сьогодні і ці дні потратити час на обмін думок, на те, щоб знайти однодумця, партнера, товариша і, звичайно, обов'язково приїжджати сюди в Україну ще багато-багато разів, в мирну, європейську, цивілізовану країну, в гарну Буковину, Чернівці і завжди знаходити тут можливість попрацювати і гарно відпочити. Dear colleagues, let me briefly say a few words in English. I am pleased to welcome all of the participants of the Bimco Congress 2019 here in Chernivtsi region, in Chernivtsi. It's my great pleasure to welcome you and to say that Ukraine has undergone tremendous changes for the last 5 years, but we are still moving towards our European values, our European course, and our initiative to broaden scientific life in Ukraine, and on behalf of this, support of medical care system, and profoundly find new stages to improve our knowledge and our science. And today I want to warmly welcome every participant from every country here in Chernivtsi region as a member of Bimco Society, Bimco Congress. I know that there is 16 ambassadors who worked last year to find more and more friends of Bimco Society. The most important thing was to broaden information in social networks and different kind of communications about the Bimco. I'm pleased to welcome you here in Chernivtsi, and thank you very much for coming, and wish you fruitful, interesting, and of course resultive 2 days here in Chernivtsi. Welcome to Chernivtsi, and thank you very much.
Дякуємо Михайлу Вікторовичу. Thank you so much.
Вітання на адресу молодих вчених, учасників конгресу, має своє продовження. І нам надзвичайно приємно зачитати привітання від Віталія Івановича Цимбалюка, президента Національної академії медичної наук України, академіка, доктора медичних наук.
Шановні колеги, маю величезну приємність від імені президії Національної академії медичних наук України та від себе особисто привітати учасників 6-го міжнародного медико-фармацевтичного конгресу студентів та молодих учених. Хочу подякувати за те, що ви нині тримаєте зв'язок з найкращими вченими Національної академії медичних наук України, які є вашими науковими консультантами, лекторами, партнерами та порадниками. Приємно відмітити ваш гідний професійний підхід і орієнтир на сучасні досягнення вітчизняної медичної науки та велику увагу до форумів, де мають можливість проявити свій науковий потенціал, передусім молоді фахівці. Вражений масштабами вашого конгресу, пишаюсь тим, що присутні сьогодні молоді науковці стануть гідною заміною у вітчизняній і світовій науці. Глибоко переконаний, що у рамках цього форуму відбудеться безліч цікавих зустрічей, професійних знайомств та корисних дискусій. Під час конгресу ви не лише поповнюєте свій багаж знань, а й черпаєте натхнення працювати якомога краще, втілюючи досягнення науки, передові медичні та фармацевтичні технології в щоденну практику. Шановні учасники конгресу, бажаю вам плідної роботи, цікавих та ефектних діалогів, а найголовніше – свіжих ідей, рішень, втілення яких стане реальним внеском у подальший розвиток вітчизняної та світової медичної науки та практики. З повагою, президент Національної академії медичних наук України, академік Віталій Цимбалюк.
Дякуємо Віталію Івановичу за привітання.
Ну що ж, друзі, ми всі погодимося, що медик не може бути один, а особливо молодий, бо молодь завжди потребує підтримки та віри в неї. Тому ми щиросердно запрошуємо до слова директора Департаменту охорони здоров'я Чернівецької обласної державної адміністрації Андрієць Оксану Анатоліївну.
Please welcome the director of the Regional Department of Health Service of Чернівці, Оксана Андрієць.
Дякую. Вельмишановний Михайло Вікторовичу, вельмишановний Тарасе Миколайовичу, вельмишановна молода наукова медична спільнота, колеги. Я сьогодні від імені великої медичної родини Буковини маю за честь вітати вас серед медиків Буковини і маю честь вітати вас з початком чергового великого наукового молодіжного медичного форуму. Для вас і для нас це надзвичайна подія.
So I would like to greet all the participants, all the guests, the honored director of today's Congress, and on behalf of their big family, medical family of Bukovina land, I would like to greet everyone, every young future professional on the occasion of this international Congress.
Ви є перспективними, молодими, у вас амбітні плани. І, звичайно, це все має можливість реалізуватися в сьогоднішньому світі на етапі великої науки.
You're very promising, you are ambitious, and you have the opportunity to realize your plans within the frame of this Congress in the field of science.
Ми маємо велику надію, що впродовж роботи Конгресу нові наукові плани, здобутки, напрацювання будуть з честю сприйняті, будуть мати можливість своєї реалізації в практичну охорону здоров'я. І це все на благо тільки здоров'я населення.
We hope that during the work of Congress, new achievements, new discoveries will be made, and they will be fulfilled in the practical service, in the practical work of medical service in Ukraine.
Отож, вам гарних робочих днів, вам гарних доповідей, вам гарних напрацювань. З вірою, з правдою і з надією тільки в майбутнє. За вами майбутнє. І на вас рівняється уся медична спільнота. Успіхів вам. Дякую.
We wish you fruitful work, all the best, and remember that future, you are the future. Thank you.
Дякуємо Оксані Анатоліївні. Ваші опуски. Ну що ж, друзі, а зараз ми маємо можливість почути привітання від учасників конгресу через онлайн-підключення.
And now we're having an opportunity to listen to the words of greetings from the Congress participants online.
Отже, вітання лунають від Ліани Швачі, Португалія. Ліана Швачі, Португал. Вітання також лунають від Адріани Віоли Міранди, Індонезія. Адріана Віола Міранда, Індонезія. Лусі Варгас, Мексико. Please welcome.
Hello, dear participants and present audience. Lucia Vargas, and I come from Mexico. And it's very nice to have the chance to present my work here online, despite distance and time's difference. I am so excited. Wish a fruitful season to everyone. Thank you.
And even though I was Lisbon Port. Dear Bimco community, hello from Lisbon, Portugal. My name is Liana Shvachi, I'm from University of Lisbon, and even though I wasn't able to come this year, I was there last year, and I really enjoyed this congress, as this is a great opportunity to share your work and to do some networking with other people. And this year I was a chosen one to be an ambassador in Portugal, which was a great opportunity for me to share this congress and to do some publicity for it. And this way, more people in Portugal got to know about this congress. So even though I wasn't able to come, I'm presenting my work, which focuses on lead exposure and how its toxicity affects the human body. And I'm gonna present as an online participant on 3rd of April in the morning. So if you want to join me or if you want to ask some questions, please feel free. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Adriana from Indonesia. I was a Bimco participant last year and I have been their ambassador for 2 years in a row. For me, Bimco is a life-changing experience because it does not only provide me with interesting seminars and workshops, but it also offers long-lasting friendships with people from all over the world. It also boosted my confidence because I got to present my work in front of professors and residents there. So for participants this year, my message is to not only focus to broaden your medical knowledge here, but also to focus on improving yourself as a person and to get as many friends as you can. And for the online participants, don't worry, because this year, Bimco offers live streaming of the plenary sessions, so it can be your opportunity to broaden your medical knowledge. See you and good luck!
Hello,
and get published. This is very important because the difference between reason and knowledge is that knowledge is communicated. It is first communicated in an oral way, but you all know that verba volant, which means that the words fly and they get lost. But some of these words must stay, and they can stay in paper because, as we know, scripta manent. We will try to provide this in collaboration with the organizing committee and the scientific board of Bimco. This was about our collaboration with Novel Meds, but in conclusion, I'm very happy to be here for the second consecutive year, and I wish you all a very fruitful attendance of all sessions, and of course, a very nice experience here in the lovely city of Sevnivsty. Thank you very much, and all the best to all of you.
Thank you so much, Christos. Please, take your seat. А зараз запрошуємо прочитати лекцію Зульфіквара Мірзу, професора, президента секції невідкладної медицини медичного товариства Великобританії, місто Лондон, Великобританія, на тему шок, визначення причини та ведення пацієнтів із травматологічною патологією.
We invite Dr. Zulkifar Mirza, Professor, President of the United Kingdom Emergency Medical Section of the British Medical Society, to lecture on the subject, shock, the definition, causes, and management of shock in trauma patients.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. So you're all awake. Thank you for, I should say Dobar den as well. Thank you for inviting me back here. I don't know if Anastasia is here somewhere, so she's called me about 200 times. But thank you for inviting me back, and the rector as well. I'm going to talk to you for about an hour or so on trauma in women. Would that be okay? Yeah? Great. We're going to make it interactive because you've all had lunch and you're feeling a bit sleepy, so I'll wake you up, yeah? So this is me. I'm a consultant in emergency medicine in London. And just a couple of corrections. I was past president of the Royal Society of Medicine, so just to be accurate. This is where I work in London. It's quite busy there. We see nearly 170,000 patients a year. Oh my God, there's so many people at the back up there. Hello. Just to show that people who've not been to the UK, that it's not correct that we always have rain, we have some sunshine, albeit one day a year, but we get sunshine. This is my hospital, just the front entrance. Thank you, Ali. He's well trained. Can you get me a gin and tonic while you're here? My back hurts, so just give me a quick massage. Can we have a round of applause for Ali, please? Thank you. He's going to be a good doctor. You know why? Because he's picked up that, I'm thirsty, and this is all about clinical acumen. Actually, a good doctor, obviously, they need to know the facts, but medicine is both a science and an art. The science is the easy bit where you can learn lots and lots of things from the books or from lectures, but the art of medicine is the hard bit, and the art is the subtle things that you pick up, like this or through experience. So thank you, Ali, and you had a nice car as well. My lecture is based around the principles of trauma, and trauma, the care of patients that we provide with trauma has been revolutionized by something called the ATLS, which is the Advanced Trauma Life Support. And it's a fantastic course where people were dying from trauma, and people didn't really understand how to treat trauma very well. So there was an American surgeon who set up the ATLS, and it basically meant that we all speak the same language so that everybody knows when a trauma arrives what to do. And that language is really important because we know that most complications in medicine and in other things occur from communication. Communication, communication, communication. So if you don't speak the same language, there's room for error. And even when you speak the same language, people misunderstand and misinterpret things. So the ATLS is a brilliant course. If you haven't had a chance, you should do it because the principles are really important. And I'd like you to imagine that you're all doctors now, and you're in charge of a patient who's been brought to your department, who's been hit by a car, and she's unconscious, so, no response. And her pulse is 100, blood pressure is 90/70, and her respiratory rate's 30. What do you think? Is that good or bad? Yeah, so you've all passed. Why is it bad? Sorry? Yeah, probably, yeah. Is the blood pressure high or low? Yeah, okay. And is the respiratory rate high or low? Yeah. So we know that there's a problem. I can hear the Indian doctors here. And that's good. So what are you going to do for her? Can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah, I don't want to stand there because it's too bright. So if I come here, it's even brighter. So can we just dim the lights? So how are you going to manage her? What are you going to do? Stop the bleeding. Okay, that is a very, very good answer because in traumatology and things... Sorry? ATLS, of course. Sorry? ABC. Thank you, Osama. And if I ask you a question, okay, it doesn't matter what the question is, the answer is always the same, ABC. You can't go wrong. But actually, it's changing slightly now. Yeah, your students they're very good, Rector. They're very, very good. I think I finished the lecture now and just ask any questions. Are there any questions? So you're right, it's changed slightly. You're right, because through the wars in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Syria, other places, it makes more sense if somebody's bleeding a lot to try and stop the bleeding. It's control of catastrophic bleeding, and that's important as well. But in reality, a lot of the things occur together. They occur together. So it's always ABC. And so that's what we're going to do for her. But, do you remember I said medicine's a science and it's also an? You're the best audience I've had today. You're the only audience I've had today. But this is important. So this is where the art comes in. So if this patient's brought into my department, what is the one key? I mean, there are lots of questions you want to ask in taking a history, but you can only ask one question. You can only ask one question from the paramedics or her relative. What is that question? Do you have insurance? Rector, I think you should get that student's name, yeah? He's going to Russia. So, yes, the insurance, we don't ask that question. You might want to, depending on which country you're from. But I think somebody said it. The most important question is she pregnant? Because you know it's a trauma and pregnancy lecture, right? But it's very important that we don't miss this thing because it's easy to miss unless they're very, very pregnant. So all the time, whenever you're dealing with women, you've got to be thinking, is it possible that they're pregnant? Can you think of an example in the whole world where doctors miss something? What is that one thing to do with pregnancy that doctors can miss? It begins with ek, ends in topic. Very good, very good. Okay, because this isn't the purpose of this talk, but it's important that I get this message across to you that when you're dealing in the emergency situation, then the key question is that all women are pregnant unless proven otherwise, and all pregnant women have an ectopic pregnancy unless proven otherwise. And that's because what the mind does not know, the eye does not see. So you have to think about it first, because the woman is not going to come up to you and say, hello, doctor, my pulse is such, my blood pressure is this, and I might have an ectopic. They don't do it. I mean, occasionally, but generally they don't do it. So it's very important. So my next question is, if they're not very pregnant and you can't see it, and sometimes people are a little bit overweight and it might be a bit difficult, how will you diagnose if someone is pregnant? Wow, there's people right at the top. How will you diagnose it? Ultrasound, yeah, you can do ultrasound. Imagine you're 200 miles from Chernivtsi and you're in Russia and there's no ultrasound. Sorry? Yeah, gonadotropins. How? Where? Okay, let me ask you this question. How many women come and produce a urine immediately? And hang on, and if they have a low blood pressure, this is very important. If they have a low blood pressure, you're not perfusing your kidneys necessarily, and you might not be producing urine. So normally, and this is why we have the lectures to try and highlight things. Normally, you do the urine test, right? You do the HCG, but there's no urine. You try and catheterize, no urine. And if they've had pelvic trauma, you might not want to catheterize. So, swab, you go into the uterus, take a swab, take it out. Sorry? What's that? Yeah, history and clinical examination are important, but remember in the context of the history, and a lot of women, they might not remember if they're pregnant, when the last period was, if they've got irregular periods. So that might be difficult. They might not have any PV bleeding. But what you can do, and this is really important, I was giving another lecture somewhere at a conference, and one of the points I wanted to get across is that actually, certainly in England, we can put a bit of blood on the stick, and that will tell you if you're pregnant or not. So it's a shortcut to finding out if somebody's pregnant, because don't give up, because otherwise you can miss something. And if you've got a young woman who's hypotensive, tachycardic, collapsed, and there's no urine, and you want a quick test, because if the test is negative, potentially she might be septic or something else from somewhere else. So that's why you need to know that you can do it another way. It's not just the one way, okay? Please don't record the lecture. You can take pictures if you want. So is this lady pregnant or not pregnant? Of course, she's pregnant, yeah. If you look at this diagram, you need to know how pregnant somebody is. This you can get from the books, so I can't really help you with this. You just have to read it and learn it. Now, do you remember the one question was, really important question was, is she pregnant? That's really important. What's the next really important question? How many months? Yeah. So the history is really important. So how many months is she pregnant? So that's important because that determines what the damage is likely to be, because in the first few weeks, the uterus is inside the pelvis. So if you've got pelvic trauma, you're talking about things around here. But as you get bigger and bigger, you push all the other organs out of the way, yeah? So the anatomy is changed. So you can't rely on just purely the anatomy, because as the uterus gets bigger and bigger. So the other key question is, actually, let's go through this first. So the uterus is pretty well protected in the pelvis because you've got a bony ring around the baby. But of course, if you have any injury to here, you can cause an abortion or a miscarriage. These are the complications which occur a little bit later on as the uterus gets bigger and bigger. And do you all know what abruption is, yeah? Placental abruption, yeah, kind of bleeding inside there. And then in the third week, the problem, it gets even more exaggerated. In some ways, who are you treating? Are you treating the mother, or are you treating the baby? Who would you rather treat? Some people like the mother, some people like the baby. Well, obviously you're treating both, yeah? Because that's the correct answer. But what's really important is that the best treatment for the baby is what? Yeah, the best treatment for the baby is to treat the mother. So we don't worry about the baby. Well, we do, but the best way we worry about it is to treat the mother, and that's really, really important. And now, as the uterus becomes bigger and bigger, what does it push down on? The airway, yeah, we'll come on to the airway. The abdominal, somewhere, yeah, somewhere is the right answer, I can't hear. But you're compressing the inferior vena cava as well. This is why when you lie down and you're pregnant, it doesn't feel very comfortable either, and then it pushes your lungs up as well. And one of the things just to remember is that, this reminds me from this slide, is the first question is she pregnant? So it's good, you think about pregnancy. What's the next biggest important question? Try not to film me, please, I'm very shy. Sorry? Yeah, yeah. One of the next most important question is the MOI. Do you know what the MOI stands for? Yeah, the mechanism of injury, because you want to know what the level of injury is, what's happened. Have they fallen off a big building, or have they fallen on the floor, from the floor, standing up? Have they been shot, or have they been stabbed? Where have they been stabbed? Because you're trying to work out where the injury is and how to manage it. And I don't know about Ukraine, but certainly in London, you may have heard, there have been a lot of stabbings recently. Okay? So the stabbings are increasing, so it's become a little bit violent. So you need to know, but the baby is still pretty well protected in the amniotic fluid. And actually someone, I can't remember who said it, but the amniotic fluid is a bit like a 5-star hotel. The baby gets food and water whenever it wants. Everything, cushion, it's nice. Okay? So it's relatively well protected with the amniotic fluid. But the mechanism is important. Now, one of the things which is also you should be aware of is one of the highest mortalities, certainly in the UK, is what mechanism of injury? Can someone tell me? What's the mechanism of injury which causes some of the highest problems? RTA is important, yeah. Car accidents are important. There are no wrong answers in Genifci, just different answers. Actually, I will just answer my own question so you can feel relaxed. Teaching is supposed to be relaxing. Well, for me anyway. One of the highest mortality in the UK is elderly people falling from just a standing height. Elderly people falling from a standing height. Why? Pourquoi? That's French for why. I know you know, I'm just trying to keep you awake. Sorry? It directly affects? Breathing. Oh, the brain, yes, the brain, yes. It can do. What's different about elderly people compared to young people? They're having what? Strokes, yeah, they can have a stroke and then have a fall, yeah? Comorbidities. So they have lots of illnesses, okay? Plus, what about their bones? Are they really strong or are they really weak? Yeah, so you're good, you see? So they're weak, okay? So there's two things here. there are comorbidities. They may have diabetes, blood pressure, kidney problems, heart problems, lung problems. They might be on lots of drugs as well. And the second thing is that their bones are not very strong. Yeah? So that's a bad combination. But there's a third thing which is even more important. The third thing which is even more important, or as important. Do you remember I said science is a medicine and an art? So this is where the art comes in. This is where the art comes in. Art comes in thinking, actually, why else is the mortality so high? And that's because we don't expect somebody from a standing height to get major injuries. So your index of suspicion is a little bit lower. But as a good doctor, you're thinking, oh, this is an elderly person, this is an elderly person. Even falling from a standing height, I need to make sure that I don't miss anything. Yeah? So the next time, I know this lecture's on pregnancy, but actually this is medical education. We're just talking as much education as we can. So next time you see an elderly person who's had a fall, you are more worried about them because of the things that we've just discussed. Elderly people are more likely to be on anticoagulants, right? Warfarin and NOACs, DOACs, whatever you want to call it, aspirin, etc. So they're more likely to have a head injury and more of a bleed. So you're more careful about the head. When you're being more careful about the head, and this applies to young people as well, what else should you be thinking about? What goes with the head? Below the head and above the suprasternal notch, it's around here, the neck. So you've got to be thinking about the neck, yeah? Because they might have a distracting injury. But the elderly might also have confusion and dementia and all the drugs. So you have to be thinking about all of these things. So all the time in medicine, you're thinking all globally, not just about one aspect. I've gone from talking about trauma in pregnant women to head injuries in the elderly because it's all linked, yeah? It's all about good care. What else might the elderly have? They can fracture their ribs. Yeah, they can fracture their ribs easily. The abdomen, they don't have any muscle. The bones are very thin, so when they fall, they can fracture the pelvis. So how do you diagnose a fracture of the pelvis? Sorry? Yeah, you do an X-ray, but actually X-rays lie. X-rays lie. And I'll tell you why they lie, because that's why we've started to CT confirms the diagnosis. Yeah? What proportion of rib fractures, and you'll remember this in 10, 20 years' time, what proportion of rib fractures are missed potentially on a chest X-ray? Have a guess. Any ideas? Yeah, up to 50%. That's a lot, isn't it? So would you take a chance on something if it's 1 in 2? No, you wouldn't. So that's why you have to be careful with X-rays, and you've got to interpret it in the context of the mechanism of injury. Yeah? And that's really important. So elderly people you have to be extra careful with. Okay? So let's move on. That's a bit boring. That's boring. Okay, let's move on to this. When one of the principles of the Advanced Trauma Life Support, ATLS, is something called a primary survey. And a primary survey, actually, can someone tell me what is the purpose of a primary survey? Sorry? Evaluate, yeah? Evaluate what? Huh? Condition of the patient, yeah, but you can do that in dermatology. Are you taking a picture? Wait. So what's the purpose of the primary survey? The purpose of the primary survey is to identify life and limb-threatening injuries. That's why you do a quick primary survey. Life or limb-threatening injury, yeah? You've got to remember that, and we'll go through each of those in turn. What comes after the primary survey? That was a trick question, so technically you're right. Technically you're right. But actually, the purpose of the primary survey is to identify. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Life and limb threatening. So life and limb threatening injuries. Thank you for answering, because it's making the lecture interactive. It makes it easier for me. So it's identifying life and limb threatening injury. So you are in primary survey, you identify a tension pneumothorax. That's life threatening. So what do? Yeah, so you resuscitate, you treat. So it goes primary survey, identify life and limb threatening injuries, do something about it. You can't just say, oh, look, they've got tension pneumothorax, and I'll just dance on to C and D and E. No. If you find something, you've got to do something about it, treat it. It's an emergency, it's life-threatening. So you do a decompression, right? And then what do? Yes, very good. You remember from last year's whatever it is I taught. So it's identify, treat, reassess. In other words, you go straight back to A again. You don't move on to C until you've gone back and reassessed literally, and this is a big C problem. But it's all about doing something, treating it, going back to the beginning, and then starting again. Okay? So then we can do the secondary survey. And what's the purpose of the secondary survey? Sorry? Yes, exactly. It's probably my mother calling. Just answer that phone for me, Mashko. She wants to make sure I'm okay in Ukraine. That was just a joke. Where was I? Secondary, very good, very good. So secondary survey, the purpose of the secondary survey is to do a full body examination, including the little finger or the big toe. It's everything. And then now there's something new. You may know this, you may not know this. What comes after secondary survey? This lecture stuff is hard work. Yes, the new kind of thing is tertiary survey. Why? Why do you do, well, you've done a full body. Why do you need to do a secondary survey? Huh? Yeah, no wrong answers. Where are you from? Huh? India. India's a big place. 1 billion people. Roughly where in India? Okay, I've never heard of it. The purpose, this is quite important, the purpose, this is just to keep everyone awake and keep you interested. The purpose of the tertiary survey, we found now that we're missing many injuries in the secondary survey. That's why we need to do another survey a few minutes later, a few hours later, the next day. You know why? Because the patients have broken bones and they're concentrating on the broken bones. Everybody's concentrating on the broken bones, but you miss something else. That's why we need to assess and reassess, yeah? So it goes C, catastrophic control bleed, airway, breathing, primary survey, resuscitation, reassess, secondary survey, reassess, tertiary survey. You happy with that? Yeah? That's really important. Now, in women, I'll come back to a couple of other things. So in women, why might the airway be difficult in trauma? Why might it be difficult in trauma? Yeah, they breathe with their chest. But remember, when you're pregnant, I've never been pregnant, just for information, but women tell me, and I read in the books, that actually everything is really swollen. The neck becomes bigger, the airway can be a little bit edematous, and everything swells up. The breasts become very big, the chest, everything is potentially a problem. So the airway can also be a bit more difficult in women to intubate in that context. You always need some very experienced anesthetist. And by the way, what does A stand for? This side's been very quiet. That side has said nothing. You said nothing. we should go for this row. What does A stand for? Look, I'm talking to them. It doesn't. Nearly, Ali. You're getting there. You must be from Jordan. A actually, the emphasis has slightly changed. A actually stands for airway. Yeah, airway with cervical spine control. Okay, there's no point in doing the airway if you don't control the C spine. You say, oh, hello, and the patient looks up, and then they can't move their arms and legs. So it's airway with cervical spine control. So when you're going to see a patient, I'm going to shout. Can you hear me at the top? Yes. Okay. This is called the ATLS handshake. When you go in, Ali, you got competition. When we're going to walk this way. Okay. So we're going to walk this way. So this is the ATLS handshake. You've got to walk to the patient like this and stop. Because that way you remember that you must immobilize the C spine. Yeah? It's very important. Otherwise the patient looks up. Thank you. Thank you. Can you give him a round of applause as well? Now everybody wants to help me on stage. But this is important because that ATLS handshake means that you remember to immobilize the C spine. So when you come to the patient, you must try and do that as well at the same time. So A stands for, and everyone's going to say it together in a minute after I've said it once more. A stands for airway with cervical spine control. Ready? 1, 2, 3. A stands for? That, you need to say that again. So A stands for? No, them. Good. And that's really important that you remember that. What does B stand for? No. That's why I'm giving this lecture, okay? We're going to update you a bit. So B stands for, yes, breathing with oxygen. Yeah? Why? Because we do breathing, and then we forget to put the oxygen on. People do, and that's why we're emphasizing this. Next time you see a trauma patient, I want you to think about B, saying, am I doing B? Yep, breathing with oxygen. Breathing with oxygen, and that's really important because we forget, and sometimes we put the oxygen mask on and we forget to switch it on. So that's why we say breathing with oxygen. Let me just finish the rest of this, and then I'm going to come back a little bit to this. In women, because men and women, we're very different, aren't we? Yes, it's the correct answer. We're XY, you're XX. And that's why we're different. And therefore, within that, we manage things a little bit differently. So why is the C, or circulation in women, different to men, as in pregnant women? Yeah, because their cardiac output goes up, their circulating volume goes up, so actually their parameters, their pulse and blood pressure are slightly different. They're slightly different. So you have to bear that in mind when they're running a tachycardia or a bradycardia. And by the way, sorry to go back to old people. We're all going to get old one day. Well, actually, some of us are already old. Is beware the patient with a normal pulse. Why do I say that to you, especially in the elderly? Sorry? Yeah, drugs. And which drugs are the elderly likely to be on? Yeah, I like this row. They're very interactive. Wherever you're from, it's really good. Yeah, so we've talked about anticoagulants already, but I'm talking about the pulse. Yeah, they're on beta blockers. That's right, they're on beta blockers. And therefore, if you have an elderly person who's running a pulse of 80 or 70, they might be tachycardic. They might have a fast pulse rate. So this is the art. You have to be thinking about this. Don't say, oh, the pulse is okay. The pulse is only okay if they're not on the beta blockers or the calcium channel blockers or the digoxin or whatever they're on. What is the beta blocker equivalent in the young? Yeah, okay? So if you're a fit athlete, if you're a marathon runner, or you're very fit, then you're already running a relative bradycardia. Yeah? So you have to be careful when you say, the next time you tell your seniors, oh, this patient has a normal pulse, you should be thinking, is it a normal pulse in the context of drugs, fitness, pacemaker? Yeah? So all of these things have an impact, and it's really important. So C in pregnant women is a bit different to non-pregnant women. The brain function disability is also different. Okay, that's a whole talk in itself. And E is exposure. You've got to avoid causing hypothermia in these patients. So we've done this already. In ATLS, there's a quick way of taking a history. And I think Osama's probably, are you covering this tomorrow? Or you are? Okay, I'm not going to cover that because Dr. Osama is going to cover that tomorrow. But I will touch slightly on fluids. What's the best fluid to give? Sorry? Yeah, okay. I can't hear all of you because you're all speaking together, but that's good that you're at least talking. Your GCS is at least 15, 14. Yes, plasma light is the one that we use, something kind of neutralish. That's right, that's right. The other thing to say sometimes is to not to give too much fluid. Okay? Because historically what we've done is we said, oh, the blood pressure is really low, let's put all the fluids in the whole hospital, all the fluids used up. But we're changing a mindset slightly, and some people believe that actually the first clot, when you're bleeding, your body's clotting factors and everything, that it forms a clot inside. And that first clot is the best clot. So now we say the first clot is the best clot. Because if you then give a lot of fluid, you've got to get the balance right. Then you can pop the first clot, because the pressure goes up a bit, and then the second clot forms. And that's not so good. So we always say the first clot is the best clot. So you've got to manage that blood pressure carefully. We've already said that actually the best treatment for the baby is to treat the mother. So whatever the mother has, you've got to treat that. Okay? We've done the primary survey, we've done the resuscitation, we've done the treatment, we reassess, we go all the way back to airway. What does A stand for? Yeah, very good. Airway with cervical spine control. Then once we've stabilized the patient for life and limb-threatening injuries, then we can go on to secondary survey, and then we can monitor the baby and the mother. There is some evidence which says that actually when the mother starts to lose blood, there's something called placental thromboplastins which kick in, and they want to preserve the mother. So the baby may suffer. The baby might suffer. This is why the treatment of the mother is really important. We're nearly there. We've done that already. There's something called the trauma triad of death. And we talk about this in traumatology. Do you do this stuff there as well, or you? Yeah. So hypothermia is in this context is not good, because for every degree lowering body temperature, it can affect your bleeding, your clotting cascade. So we have to keep the patient warm. Acidosis, as you know, is not good because you're losing blood, you're losing the oxygen carrying capacity. And of course, the coagulopathy we've already mentioned, it's also affected by the bleeding and the temperature. So we call it the trauma triad of death. Now, just for the last kind of few minutes, just going to go back to what each of the individual things in the primary survey stands for. So we've done A, which is airway with C-spine control. We've done B, which stands for breathing with oxygen. What does C stand for? Yeah, Mashku's got it. So C stands for circulation with hemorrhage control. In other words, actually I'll come back to it. What does circulation mean to you? What's circulation? Sorry? Yep. So what forms C in a trauma situation? What do you need to do? Yep. So you need to get IV access, don't you? Yeah. How many? 1 or 2? 2. And where do you put it in the wrist or in the antecubital fossa? Bearing in mind it's not the wrist? Very good. Okay. So because it takes longer, so we recommend it's antecubital fossa, yeah? 2 large venflons in the antecubital fossa because you want to replace fluid or blood. And so you put 2 venflons in, take some blood out, and what do you take the blood for? Sorry? Saturations, yeah, you can look at that with the monitor. Blood type, yes, a group and save or cross match. Anything else? Toxicology. What about the basic stuff? Hemoglobin, yeah. Pregnancy, very good. Pregnancy, okay? Not in men, just for information. So you need to check the hemoglobin, but remember the hemoglobin might not be telling you the picture straight away. It might occur a bit later on or give you a false sense of security. That's why you might need to repeat it. Because when you take the blood, it might not be the true value because you're either bleeding or hemoconcentrating or you're giving a lot of fluid, etc. So you have to check and recheck. So hemoglobin, urine electrolytes, yeah, clotting, cross-match, all of those things, pregnancy, and depending on the medical situation, you might need to do other blood tests too. So it's venflons in, blood out, fluids in. What else forms part of C? What else forms part of C? What else forms part of C? Pulse, blood pressure, saturations, capillary refill, all of those things form part of C. But also where you're bleeding from. That's circulation, isn't it? So where can you be bleeding? Where can you be bleeding from, whether you're pregnant or not pregnant? Inside or outside? Very good, I like that. Keep it simple. You ring up the specialist. I think they're bleeding inside and outside. I'm going to refer the patient to you. Thank you. Then you don't have a job ever again. So it's a very good point. Who said inside and outside? Because it's very good. It's very good. You're the pregnant man, right? That's important because when the ambulance people, they bring the patient into the hospital, certainly in the UK, and I'm sure it happens everywhere else, or lots of other places, is we get a really good history from the ambulance people. And one of the key questions, apart from what happened at the accident, did someone die at the accident, where did they fall? A key question, this is important, is how much blood was at the scene of the accident? Because what you don't see, you don't think about. But it's very important. So when you said inside and outside, that is really important. The outside is you want to ask them what it was like, not what's happening there. So how much blood was there in the scene? So we've done at the scene, that's one place where the accident happened, the road traffic, the whatever, stabbing, shooting. Where else can it be in the body? Yeah, there's either going to be in the chest, the abdomen, pelvis, long bones, retroperitoneal, because it's hidden, it's at the back, but they can bleed into the retroperitoneum, yeah? Or it's on the floor, you're right, yeah? So there's different, there is a dance which goes with this, but I won't do it now, maybe later on. But it's important that you think about it, because it's hidden. This is important, because when you give fluid or blood, they're the two things you might give, there are 3 types of responders. What are those responders? Are you covering this tomorrow? No. There are 3 types of responders. Okay? So when you give fluid, whether you're treating a trauma patient or a 3 types of responders. The first one is called a responder. You give the fluid and the blood, and the pulse comes down, the blood pressure comes up, and everything is okay. And everything stays okay. Just stays okay. That's called a responder. Am I causing you a problem with the camera? Good, I'm trying to avoid the camera. So that's a responder. Everything is good, we can sleep at night. The second type of patient is called a transient responder. A transient responder is someone where you give the fluid or the blood, and the pulse comes down, blood pressure comes up, everything stays normal, it stays normal, and then everything goes bad again. Then you need to resuscitate again. It's called a transient responder. The third one is called a non-responder. So you give them all the fluid, all the blood in Ukraine, all the blood everywhere in the world, and they don't respond to the pulse is still very high, blood pressure is still very low. They're called a non-responder. So, which is the most dangerous patient? I love all this fighting going on. We're going to have just audience interaction. Put your hand up if you think it's a responder. The most dangerous patient, right? Put your hands up. I'm watching everyone. Put your hands up if you think it's a transient responder, it's the most dangerous. Wow. I'm keeping an eye on everyone. Everyone has to put their hand up. Put your hands up if you think the non-responder is the most dangerous. The fewest number. It kind of depends on the scenario, but the non-responder, the transient responder is a worrying group because it gives you a false sense of security that everything is okay and then you walk away. Whereas the non-responder, everybody knows is in trouble. Pulse is fast, blood pressure is low, so you stay then, you keep resuscitating, you do something about it. So in some ways, it's a clearer picture. But they're all, you have to be careful with all of the patients. What's the treatment for the non-responder, the one you've given fluids and blood to and nothing is happening? Sorry? Yeah, absolutely. So the answer is that these people need an operation because C stands for circulation with hemorrhage control. And how do you control the hemorrhage? Is to make a cut, go inside, and stop the bleeding. It's just you can't see the bleeding. That's the problem. So you have to think about it. Okay? Now, that's airway with C-spine control, breathing with oxygen, circulation with hemorrhage control. And then we get on to D. What does D stand for? What does D stand for? Disability, yeah. But remember, all of them come with something. Airway with C-spine, breathing with oxygen, circulation with hemorrhage control, disability with, pupils, and AVPU. Have you heard of AVPU? AVPU? Are you still doing that there? A stands for alert. V responds to voice. P responds to pain. And U, unresponsive. Unresponsive. Alert, voice, pain, unresponsive. That's kind of a shortcut. Do you know the Glasgow Coma Scale, GCS? Who can remember the GCS? Yeah, you only learn it the night before the exam and then you forget it the day after. Unless you're a neurosurgeon, then you remember it all the time. And traumatology, of course, I forget traumatology. I always forget traumatology, I'm sorry. And so it's important that, so it's a quick way of doing D, disability with pupils, and AVPU, alert, voice, pain, unresponsive. And what's the purpose of kind of the GCS and AVPU? Why do we need it? Sorry? The neurological state, yeah. And why is that important? What's the clinical significance of AVPU? Yeah, level of consciousness, yeah? Good. And why do we need to know about the level of consciousness? Why is it important? Why do you need to know? Yeah, okay. Somewhere was the right answer. Because you want to know if the level of consciousness is depressed because it affects the ability to maintain your airway. That's why it's disability with pupils and AVPU, in case they need to be intubated. Yeah? Great. So now we've done D, and now we get on to E, finally. Let me ask the question first. So E stands for exposure, you're right, but it comes with or without something. Without hypothermia. Exposure without hypothermia. So airway with cervical spine control, breathing with oxygen, circulation with hemorrhage control, disability with pupils and AVPU, and E is exposure without causing hypothermia. Yeah? Happy with that? That's great. So you're learning a lot. Before we just get on to that, I'm going to do one more thing, which is to do with B, and then I'm going to talk about partner violence, and then we'll finish the lecture. We know that A stands for airway problems, and that's a whole lecture in itself, and B stands for breathing with oxygen. What are the emergency life-threatening conditions you're looking for in the B? Yeah. Pneumothorax, yeah. And what kind of pneumothorax, Ali? Tension pneumothorax, yeah. Yeah. Any other life-threatening, potential life-threatening problems? So, I'll go through it in turn. The mnemonic is ATOM FC. A stands for airway obstruction. T for tension pneumothorax. O for open pneumothorax. O for open pneumothorax. M for massive hemothorax. F for flail chest. And C for cardiac tamponade. So I'll do those again. Airway obstruction, tension pneumothorax, open pneumothorax, massive hemothorax, flail chest, and cardiac tamponade. Okay? I'm going to do something called partner violence. Actually, I'll leave it for the time being. But also remember that domestic violence in women is increasing. Actually, it's increasing against men as well, so we shouldn't be left out because there are some violent people around. But just to bear that in mind, always think about that. That's really important. And on, I just want to finish off on flail chest. So it's ATOM FC, and F stands for flail chest. Can someone tell me what flail chest is? What's flail chest? What's the flail chest? Sorry? What's a flail chest? No? No? Anyone else? Not quite. A flail chest is when you've got 2 or more fractured ribs in 2 or more places. Yeah, that's right. So what happens is that as you take a deep breath in, the bit which is flail is moving paradoxically. But the important thing for you guys as future doctors is this, because the purpose of lectures and education is to try and make the connection between what the books are saying and what's also happening. When someone has a flail chest, it means they've had some serious injury, and the flail chest goes and hits the lungs. And when it hits the lungs, do you know what that's called? It's called pulmonary contusion. It's bruising of the lung, but you might not see it on the X-ray. So that's why if you see someone with a flail chest, it's a very serious injury. So they might need a CT scan to see if there's underlying lung damage, in which case there is some new treatment. Newish treatment. And you can do nerve blocks. At my hospital, we do what's called a serratus, at the West Middlesex University Hospital, we do what's called a serratus anterior block. And it's really effective, and and the patients from the audit that we've done shows that they really like it. They feel better very quickly, and then they want to go home straight away. But we have to keep them in to observe them. Why do we worry about pulmonary contusion or damage to the lung? What can it lead to? Sorry? Yeah, it can lead to some kind of pneumonia. It can lead to pneumonia because you're not breathing so well, because you've got pain in your ribs, which you might miss on an X-ray, so they end up having a CT. And then because they're not breathing so well, they don't ventilate that bit. They don't get so much oxygen, and then they get a lung infection. And of course, in the elderly, they've got comorbidities, and they're more likely to die. Okay? So F in flail chest is really important. So just to kind of finish off the lecture, I'm going to just ask you a couple of quick questions, and then I'm going to show you some of 3 of my favorite pictures, and then we'll finish the lecture. So A stands for airway with? Good. B stands for? They're winning at the moment. C stands for? I love this. D stands for? That was all in Indian. Can you say it in English? Yeah. Disability with pupils and AFPU. And E stands for? Exposure without hypothermia. That's really, really important. And so I'm going to just leave you with some three very important slides, which were given to me by a professor in Oxford, actually. Airway. If you look at this, it's opening the airway. This is a real case. Professor David Cranston is a professor of urology, and his son is a vet, and he wrote a book. And buy his book if you want. And so this is a real picture. So you can keep an airway open. This is a Goodell airway? A Goodell airway. This is the elephant's Goodell airway, right? Breathing. You can put an ET tube down in this leopard. And circulation. Because this is a real example. Because in a giraffe, listen to me, in a giraffe, their heart is very big, so you have to jump up and down. And so this is CPR. I'm going to do this for you tomorrow, on Thursday in the workshop, not on a giraffe. But, and this giraffe had a cardiac arrest, and this guy was jumping on him, and he survived. It's a successful cardiac resuscitation in a giraffe. So if we can do it in a giraffe, we can do it in a human being, right? And so this is my email address. If you've got any questions for me, if you've got any things, just drop me a line. And thank you for being such a patient audience. And I look forward to seeing some of you in the next couple of days. And Ukraine, thank you very much, Rector, for inviting me. And I really enjoyed being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Zulkivar Mirza, for an extremely interesting lecture. Для ознайомлення з подальшою роботи Конгресу до слова запрошується науковий керівник студентського наукового товариства, голова Ради молодих учених, доцент кафедри патологічної анатомії Буковинського державного медичного університету Тюленєва Олена Анатоліївна.
To get information about further work of the Congress, we invite the leader of the Student Scientific Society, the head of the Council of Young Scientists, the associate professor of Department of Pathological Anatomy of Bukovinian State Medical University, Тюленєва Єлена.
Шановні учасники медико-фармацевтичного конгресу Bimco, молоді науковці Буковини та гості нашого університету. Дозвольте ознайомити вас з організацією роботи заходів в рамках нашого форуму упродовж наступних 3 днів роботи конгресу.
Dear participants and guests, I would like to present the program for the 3 days of our work.
3 квітня працюватимуть 38 наукових секцій з різноманітних напрямків медицини та фармації.
So on the 3rd of April, there will be 38 different scientific workshops in different directions of medicine and pharmacy.
Робота кожної секції включатиме наукову дискусію з обговоренням доповідей і визначенням переможців.
So in every group, you will present your speeches, then results will be made in the field of theory, experimental, clinical medicine, and also humanitarian and natural sciences.
Після секційних засідань завтра відбудеться друга пленарна лекція на тему розвиток дисплазії стегна, а саме Алядат, президента і засновника організації з тією ж назвою міста Амман, Йорданія.
Tomorrow, after meetings at different departments of the university, there will be the second lecture presented by a scientist, traumatologist, Osama Al-Adab, development dysplasia of the hip here in the palace.
16:30.
4:30 p.m.
4 квітня 2019 року в рамках форуму буде проведено 25 клінічних майстер-класів українською і англійською мовами на клінічних базах університету.
On the 4th of April, there will be 25 clinical master classes or workshops organized at different clinical departments of the university.
Триватимуть майстер-класи з 10 до 15 години.
The time from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Після воркшопів у третій день конгресу для учасників буде проведено екскурсію українською та англійською мовами історичними архітектурними пам'ятками міста.
On the 4th of April, the same day after your intensive work, there will be a guided tour of town in Ukrainian and English.
5 квітня о 12-й годині у цій ошатній залі розпочнеться заключне пленарне засідання медико-фармацевтичного конгресу, на якому відбудеться урочисте нагородження переможців.
And on the 5th of April at 12 o'clock here in this hall, there will be the closing ceremony with giving awards to the winners of our Congress.
А наразі всіх учасників конгресу і присутніх у цій залі ми запрошуємо до фотографування біля адміністративного корпусу Буковинського державного медичного університету.
And now all the participants and guests are invited for a group photo in front of the main building of our university in Teatralna Square. Welcome everyone. Thank you.
Бажаємо успіхів. До зустрічі.
So, success and see you soon.